everybody, and welcome to the Half-Nerdcast one-shots. I'm Zack, as you may or may not know. So right away, you see the title of this video, The Truth About Star Wars, and at the risk of making everyone hate me even more than usual, I'm just going to put this out there, okay? I want you to understand, first off, that I'm a fan of Star Wars. I'm a fan of the original 3 films and some of the expanded universe stuff. Well, now everybody calls it Legends, but that's part of the video. So let me start off with my original thoughts. There are like 5 different versions of Star Wars, right? Now this is a whole thing, but I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. So you got your fans of the original movie, right? The first movie, Star Wars, A New Hope. Then the other movies come out, and then you have fans of the trilogy, and people argue and debate that back in the day. Then you have all the novels and comics and stuff that happened between May 25th, 1977, and I believe 1996. So, like almost 30 years of history, basically, expanded universe stuff, which George Lucas himself made sure that every author talked to the next author and shit to keep it all together so it's one cohesive story. That's a key point. Because, yeah. So, all this stuff happens, and then we get Shadows of the Empire, everything but a movie, and then we get the special editions with new CGI, which then led into the prequels, because I think he was kind of gearing people up to be like, hey, look, see, the special effects are similar, this is what we can do now. It was all a good marketing plan. So then you have the prequels, right? And now there's a whole new generation of people that enjoy that, as well as the originals. There's nothing wrong with that. Then we fast forward another 30-something years or whatever the hell, 20 years, whatever, and we have the sequel trilogy, which, just like the prequels, has its fans and non-fans. So already there's all these different groups of people that have in their mind what Star Wars is. It's one of the biggest franchises in existence. The lore alone from the different expanded universe and stuff and what everyone has in their head can vary from, person to person, and it means something to them. Now, when fans of this, have problems with things, and they're like, well, this doesn't add up, and this doesn't make sense, what's canon and what's non-canon, and all these things, and that's what leads me to my point. The risk of me being, shunned by society, me becoming the next Jar Jar. You have to go back to before the first Star Wars movie came out. Star Wars was supposed to be a small independent film. That's what it was. Yeah, George had his whole ideas, everybody knows all this stuff, right? But really think about this. Star Wars was a small independent film that wasn't supposed to work. And it did. It defied the odds. I'm sure C-3PO knows the odds. For all these things that we complain about and all the different versions that we have in our head, we have to remember that this was a small independent film that was not supposed to work. It should have failed. The fact that it became something so much more is a goddamn miracle. And what I'm saying is that because it wasn't supposed to work, I feel we should be happy that the first 3 films work, that a lot of the expanded universe stuff, it works. I know there's a lot of crazy shit in it, but that's okay. People that are mad now about how things work or don't work, it's like you have to remember, it should have been garbage. It should have sucked. It shouldn't be this big thing that it is, but somehow it is. Now, if that isn't the power of the Force, I don't know what is. Like, we should be happy with what we have, and, just like the different groups, you can pick and choose what you want to enjoy about it. Nothing is being ruined per se, because guess what? I'm not a big fan of the sequel trilogy. I don't ever have to watch those movies. Ever. I watched the first two. I didn't see the third one, but I heard everything about it, so I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. Same thing with the prequels. Man, those movies had potential. A lot of good stuff in them. A lot of cool, kick-ass things in them. But again, not for me. My generation, I grew up with the original films, basically, the special editions, unfortunately, even though I've seen the originals, and a lot of the expanded universe stuff. That was for my generation, so that's what I'm a fan of. For the longest time, I didn't know that there were actual fans of the prequels, like they legitimately love them and think they're good. Now that's very confusing to me, but I get why they like it, because that's their Star Wars movies, just like these new ones are this generation's Star Wars movies. And to a lot of older fans, I'm sure you're thinking, well, that sucks for them. They got this hot garbage that they got to deal with. But you just have to look back to where it all began. Like I said, Star Wars was not supposed to be anything other than a low budget science fiction film. A one shot, just a little story. And it became something greater than it is, and that's fine. But you have to remember where it came from. Don't let every new version of something get you down, because it's all trash. I mean, not that Star Wars is trash, but think about it. If you look at it that way, it's all garbage. It's all trash. It wasn't supposed to work. Lucas basically paid homage, but let's just say stole everything from other films. I mean, that's a good story is usually an homage to something else. So he took things from a bunch of different things. I once said that the real reason Star Wars is great is because a farmer, a wizard, a monster, a pirate, a princess, and two robots fought against a Nazi samurai and his armies of clones in space. Like, when you think of it that way, it's like, oh shit, yeah, there's a lot of random things thrown together, and that's the first Star Wars movie. And again, nothing wrong with that. But it wasn't supposed to be anything more than that. And it is a miracle that anything else grew from that. And it's really, on the positive side, it's really a cool story that this guy had a vision of what he wanted to create, and he made it happen. That's why so many people applaud George Lucas, and why they think he's awesome is because, yeah, he got to create and execute his vision, and maybe someday he'll get back to that. Now, don't let him write the dialogue, but he could he could do it. He could come up with something, and that would be very interesting to see. So, in summary, once again, Star Wars means a lot of things to a lot of different people, and we should be happy about that. As long as we remember where we came from and stay humble, we'll get that money. We'll make that bread. We'll get this bread. Or whatever the hell kids say. I don't know. Does anyone say that anymore? Who the hell knows? I'm Zack for the Half-Nerdcast. May the Force be with you. Always.